in a tutorial video. Today we're going to be talking about color grading, specifically how I color grade restaurant videos. So color grading, when it comes to the process of how I edit videos, comes to be the last thing, and that's because it's the easiest for me to do because I just have a lot of experience of color editing food, but also research. And what I mean by research is before I even go to the shoot, I look at the Instagram and the Yelp to look at what kind of food that they're gonna cook, but also what kind of colors that I really want to show off when it comes to the post process of it. So jumping right into Premiere Pro, uh, we're gonna focus on two hero shots. Hero shots are like the conclusion, right? The climax of a video where everything sort of just comes together, and it's pretty much the hype portion of it when it comes to a video. For this specifically, I chose this clip because again, there's such a huge contrast of colors where everything is just well balanced and it really brings the audience in the middle. And if we play this clip out, what you can see on the left hand side is the scale, rotation, and the positioning. I shoot this is very normal, like I'm just panning into the shot, but with the rotation and the scaling, it just looks really cool. It gives that extra like dimension of, feeling that you're being zoomed into the shot. So we're gonna talk about the color, right? If I turn off my adjustment layer and my color, you can see it's actually shot really flat, and that's because I shoot in PP4, Cine 4 Pro, and shooting with the A7S3 or the FX3, you're able to shoot in 4.2.10 bit, which gives you this huge dynamic range of color. Sorry, that was my notifications. The LUT I use here, and I'll reapply it, is this blue and orange. Again, you can already see the huge difference this LUT makes itself. And a lot of people, when they start out filmmaking, they'll download a LUT and they'll just apply it to their film and they call it done. But sometimes LUTs of specific colors are different for each video. Sometimes when you apply those LUTs can totally blow out the color and look oversaturated and it just looks super unnatural. Here, the orange does well because, orange and tofu, they sort of have the similar scheme of colors, but also the blue really adds this depth of field around the box that is, again, my focus is to narrow the scope of view of, what the audience sees. So specifically for this clip, we're going to go to the color portion of it. These are the current settings. I'm just going to zero everything out. So the big thing when you look at this clip is you're going to say that it's overblown. It's blown out. The colors are really white, and you're right. That's a difficulty when it comes to shooting into food carts or restaurants, is I don't bring any extra light. I don't bring any like dampeners for light. And when it comes to shooting in food carts, there's so much metal around that light is being refracted everywhere. So controlling that is pretty difficult. And this could have been all solved by using an ND filter, but I didn't bring that obviously. So the first thing I look at when I look at this clip, the first thing I do is I'm just gonna lower highlights to the point that I'm really happy with it. If you lower highlights too much, the rights, no matter what, it's gonna be like blown out. So to attack that, I usually up contrast a bit where I can bounce enough color here, and it sort of distracts the audience, from the fact that the rice is blown out by giving more color on the opposite side. And to even add more depth of field, you can add shadows. But I'm really careful about how much shadow I add here, because if you add too much shadow, it just looks very unnatural. And just enough shadow where there is still light, but it really ups the little shadows under these tofu cubes, but also in this background to add more of this intimate kind of feeling. Same thing as whites. They're not the same as highlights, but I want to lower the whites. And again, I'm trying to create this moody kind of, film-like feeling for the audience. So a lot of what I do is concentrate the colors in the middle, and the surrounding perimeter, I lower the shadows so it just zooms in and gives that feeling of it's the feeling of almost like a FPV drone, where you're actually being tossed into the food. It's a weird explanation. I don't know how I come up with these kind of things in my head, but again, up to saturation by just one. And in this clip, you can tell as we move up in saturation, stuff becomes oversaturated. Like the pair of scissors in the right corner just looks doesn't look right at 123, and obviously going 123 is a lot. The other thing I enjoy about this clip specifically is if we scroll through this part of the video, the pair of scissors actually does a great job in contrasting colors because it stands out in itself. It's sort of like that standout color, right? The rice is already blown out, so the middle of it, you're just gonna end up looking at the middle, and the middle is the hero shot. So jumping to our second hero shot, if I turn off the colors and the LUT itself, you're gonna see a huge difference. The colors are more flat. So by adding the LUT in, you instantly have the blues and the shadows, but also the dish itself. This dish specifically has a lot of orange and red as the sauce base already. So adding the LUT that focuses on orange and blue just already gives more dimension to the shot. And I do the same thing as I did on the previous shot, is I just lower the highlights of the contrast, the shadows and the whites, and pretty much up just enough saturation where the green onions and the sauce itself can sort of stand out. But thanks for watching the video. I might put out other tutorials, but it's really hard to do tutorials for me specifically because it's difficult to really explain what's going through my head when I'm editing. I think it's a lot easier if you like sat next to me and I explained what I was doing. It's a bit more natural. But looking back at older videos and talking about how I made specific changes, it's really it's more difficult because they come in my head and then they leave and then I move on to the next project. But we'll see in the future. But again, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions on what kind of content you would like on this page when it comes to tutorials, or like specifically in real world shooting, kind of behind the scenes, leave a comment and let me know.